Are we live?
We're live.
All right.
God bless everyone and welcome to Everlasting Ministries. As you know, we are here in Pastor Dan's church, and not to withhold the message, but introduce Pastor Dan at his church. So I'm going to let him take it from here.
Thank you, brother. My good friend, we were just talking about how God has connected David and I, and we both are thrilled about that. Thanks for watching. I'm going to be fairly quick, but I'm going to be talking this Sunday here at this church. You're invited. I'm going to be talking about David and Goliath. I'll talk a little bit about that more in a minute, about inviting you. But you probably know the story of David and Goliath. Young shepherd boy beats this big giant. One of the things to me that's interesting and very relevant about that story is that, as far as we can tell from the biblical text, what we know from the text, it doesn't appear that David was ever very afraid, or that he doesn't consider defeating Goliath to be impossible. Now, that's interesting because everybody else kind of considers it, all of King Saul's army appears to think it's impossible to beat him. In fact, they're afraid of him, but not David. At one point, David is talking with King Saul, and I'm paraphrasing here, but David basically tells Saul, he says, hey, I've fought off lions and bears to protect my sheep. I'm not afraid of this guy. I'm not afraid of him. I can beat this guy. That frame of mind that David had, that understanding of reality, that attitude regarding what's possible or what's not possible, that matters. That's a big part of the story, and that matters. Years ago, I heard this guy giving a talk, and he said, I love the way he put this, he said, words to this effect, he said, if you think you can, or if you think you can't, you're right. Let that sink in for a minute. If you think you can, or if you think either way, you're right. What he was saying is, what do you believe is possible? What do you honestly believe? See, that matters. I'm not trying to turn this into a mind over matter seminar. That's not. I'm just relating to you what I think is a very reliable, and really in a way it's an unassailable truth. What we think is possible or not possible is going to have an effect. It's going to affect how we approach a situation. It's going to affect whether we're willing to hang in there and stick with it or whether we give up. It's going to affect whether we succeed or whether we fail regarding really almost any endeavor. What we think is possible. Now, part of what's fundamentally important to this issue too is God, of course. Always God, the God factor. God, the God factor. Because see, here's the thing. There are some things that are impossible for you and me. Of course, absolutely, of course. There are things that are impossible for us, but they're not impossible for God. See, that's the critical variable there. Jesus expressed this thought one time. He was talking with his disciples. This is recorded in the book of Mark chapter 10. And he had the guys gathered around. He was talking to them about salvation. And basically what he told them is that, like, salvation is virtually impossible. And they weren't too thrilled to hear that, of course. But what he said then is this. This is from the text. Jesus said, humanly speaking, it's impossible. Humanly speaking. But then he goes on and he says, but with God, all things are possible. With God. See, that God factor, that's what changes everything. The God factor, that's what changed everything for David. So, are you facing some giants that seem to be impossible to defeat? I mean, they are giants. They seem impossible. If you have resigned yourself to the fact that it's impossible, in your mind you've resigned yourself to that fact, then pretty much it will be. It will be impossible then. On the other hand, if you will face those giants the way that David faced Goliath, a real life giant, if you'll do that, if you will choose, listen to my words here, if you'll choose to believe that with God, everything is possible. That will make the difference.
Amen.
Now, I'm going to talk about this further. That's just part of it. I'm going to talk about this further this Sunday, which is September 16th, at the First Church of God, right where David and I are right now. David's going to be here.
Yes.
He's going to be here. It's this Sunday. It's our fall kickoff at our church. We always start the new ministry season with a fall kickoff, and so that's this Sunday, the 16th. We're going to be talking about David and Goliath. We're starting a new series, Defeating Giants. God wants to help us defeat some of these negative giants in our lives. Now, some of the folks are going, I'd come, Dan. I'd love to come, except I have no idea what time your services are. Glad you brought it up. The service times are 9 a.m. and David and Myrna usually come at 9.
Yes.
9 a.m. or 11 a.m. Either one, you're welcome to come and be with us. If you come, if they come, David, I'm giving everybody who comes a brand new car. If you'll, no, I'm kidding. Just kidding. No. That's a joke. That's a joke. If you come, you'll be blessed, though. Yes? Come on. Come on.
So to all of you, wait up, Pastor Dan, before we even end this, you forgot to do one thing. Welcome to...
What am I thinking? Oh my God. Well, if you come Sunday too, you'll be in beautiful, beautiful Oak Lawn, Illinois. That's where this is happening right now.
Yes.
Welcome to beautiful Oak Lawn, wherever you happen to be watching. Come Sunday and you'll actually be in the midst of all that beauty right here.
Right. So to everyone out there, it's coming up to the weekend. Watch yourselves, and whatever you do, going to concerts or to these festivals or these carnivals, please watch your surroundings always, as I always say. And come here to Pastor Dan. He's only got an hour service, singing, and then right to the message. So if you don't want to get up too early, come at 11 o'clock to 12. And if you want me here, you know how to get a hold of me, but you just got to give me a ride back home, because Myrna goes to another church where she has responsibilities, which, Myrna, you're watching this right now. And yeah, Dan thinks now I don't have a wife. Well,
Yeah.
Thank you.
I don't know about this Myrna. I think he's making her up, but he tells me there's a Myrna somewhere.
So to all of you, may God be with you. Until next week, be blessed.